Guys, we blow up. Hey, what's up, mediums? It's April 24th, 2017. Welcome to another episode of Thursday Night Live here on Keystroke Medium. It's season 2, episode 34. I'm not sure if that's 30. Is it this way? I'm not sure. 34. I am Josh Hayes. I'm here with two co-hosts tonight. Scott Moon and Ralph Kern has decided to grace us with his presence. Tonight, Mark Wandrey, the author of the Revelation Cycle and Earth Song series, joins us to talk about his writing journey and putting the fun back into science fiction. He's been writing and publishing for 16 years, and in his words, he wants to kill aliens and get paid. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming on. We always like to start out TNL with a little bit about what we got going on this week. A little shout out to our live chat tonight. If you're watching live, make sure you're participating in the live chat, even though JR and Chuck jumped ahead of the line and just completely just was like going crazy in the chat. Before the show even started, Chuck and JR have been going at it for 45 minutes in the live chat, and we weren't even live yet. So JR, Chuck, welcome. Lauren Moore's here with us. There's a couple more in there, and I don't see them yet, but they're in there. And it's going to be a great, great show. So, Scott, what have you been up to this week, buddy?
Well, not a whole lot. Traveling and going to the Smart Artist is my big thing. So, and I apologize, I'm on my laptop. I do got some good Wi-Fi, I think. However, yeah, it's a laptop. But yeah, so I came down to the Smart Artist. I'm not going to go on too long about it. All I can say is it's really awesome. I met tons and tons of cool people. You know, people who are just starting out to people who are like, you know, light years ahead. And hung out with Chris Fox, Richard Fox, Josh Dalzell a little bit. Just some of those guys are just really killing it in this genre, and I was like, I can't believe that they're talking to me. I feel like the cool kids came over to give me to let me hang out.
The jocks. You get to sit at the
I was hanging
table.
out like, all right, when are they going to stuff me in a locker or something, you know? But it was pretty good. So just had fun.
It must be great to see these people for real.
Well, it was weird.
Quite exciting.
The weirdest thing is I didn't really know exactly what Joshua Dalzell looked like. I mean, I kind of knew from his thing, and I'm standing in the hallway after a break, and people are not pushing, but they're going by, and I'm kind of in his way, and he said something to me, so I kind of stepped back to be out of his way, and he said like,
"Hey, by the way, Wiener."
Yeah, he goes, "Hey, I've been wanting to talk to you," and I was like, "Really? Okay." I introduced myself, and then he tells me who he is, and I'm like, "Wow." And stuff. So super nice. Turned out to be a super nice guy, and it was just really cool. There's a bunch of people, and anybody that can go to the Smart Artist that's interested should try sometime, because it's not just you learn a lot of information, but you also there's a really good vibe, and you always come away from it feeling really, really charged up, lots of energy. And I'll kind of go through my notes maybe and give a more coherent summary at some point. But we had some really good lecturers, instructors. Well, I don't know what you want to call it, presenters. And it's just been a blast. So I'm just
walking
kind of
around and like
chilling,
poking everybody, like, "Oh, you're real. Oh, you're real. Oh, you're real."
It was a little bit surreal on some of that. And what's the guy who wrote David? I can't say his name. From Ireland, Gongren. He wrote Let's Get Digital.
Oh yeah,
and that he was there. He did some talking there. Clark Chamberlain did a presentation on story stuff. Christine Niles who's one of the Smart Artist people. She writes thrillers, but she also does a lot for their business. And then yesterday we had Jenna Sword, who has the site You Can Brand, and that was very interesting. And we started out with I'm trying to think who was first yesterday. Gosh dang it.
Sounds like we need to have like our own episode for.
Yeah, we had Chris Fox, and there's just a whole list of people, and they were just giving all kinds of fantastic information, lots of good questions and answers, and it was really cool. So I'm loving it. You guys are all here.
Yeah, me too. I'm super jealous.
Mark,
you're on the road too.
I think my head would really be hurting.
Oh yeah, we'd probably be out at the karaoke with everybody else right now, drinking maybe beers. I don't know. It's
The
a
next
guess.
morning, we're crawling out of bed like, oh, God, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
I think Richard Fox is a lovely bloke, but listening to him wailing out "Stand by your man" or something.
Yeah. Well, actually, I might pay for that, but I'm not singing. I don't sing at karaoke.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
have to be
ridiculous.
like literally have an alternate personality. I'm so drunk to do that.
Nice.
And,
Well,
Yeah, you do that.
so
Mark, Scott's not the only one that's on the road tonight. You're on the road as well in a hotel somewhere in the
Yeah.
unknown, unnamed landscape. What have you been up to?
Daleville, Virginia, I believe, east of Roanoke, heading towards Williamsburg for RavenCon starting tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Very
that'll
cool.
be cool. Are you presenting or attending or both? Or
I'm a guest, and I'm going to be. I think I'm signed on to about 8 different panels. A couple of them with Chuck Gannon, the artist guest, author guest of honor, and he's doing the dedication for the foreword for our next coming up anthology. And he's kind of helped me out from time to time with suggestions and ideas. So every chance I get a chance to I can. And this is Chris Kennedy's territory too. He lives right around the corner in Virginia Beach. So this is kind of his hometown con.
That's very cool. And you were telling us before the show that you've got some swag and some stuff that you're going to show off.
Yeah. My incredible skilled wife has been working on creating for the Four Horsemen universe the patches for them. One for each of the Four Horsemen. So there's like the one for Cartwright's Cavaliers. Is one. It's my favorite. Of course, that's my book. And then there's this no talent hack I know called Chris Kennedy who wrote this one. That's Asbrand Solutions.
We had that loser on the show.
yeah, that guy.
The one coming up next is Winged Hussars. That's their patch. And anybody who's served, you recognize the Polish unit. That's actually based on their unit patch to some degree for now. And last one is the Golden Horde, which is written by Chris. It'll come out shortly after Winged Hussars, which is the coolest one. It may not show too well, but it's very Mongolian. Go figure. Golden Horde. But yeah, that's my talented wife's creations. Did them all for me, and I don't know what I'd do without her. Probably be a little richer. But I didn't say that. Nothing. You can go back to nothing.
Love you.
That's a brave man. You have to sleep sometime.
I've been given the
I think we might see our first live murder on YouTube.
Yeah, can we show that? Can we show
Probably
that?
not the first, unfortunately.
We are a show of first. So
I am armed, and she knows where the gun is. She can probably get to it before I can.
Run!
All that over a unit patch.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we should have a vote.
We're too long too.
On which patch people like and which unit they'll join or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Chris Kennedy, who wrote Asbrand, the second book, he's got his first cosplayer already. There's one of our fans that showed up at MarsCon last year in costume for his unit for Asbrand. So actually, this original patch is going to her. She doesn't even know she knows it or not. She's going to get it.
She does not know it.
She does not know it. So she's
Very nice.
Because if she does, she knows now. But yeah,
don't tell her it's a secret.
I know, right?
You know you've made it when you've got cosplayers.
Yeah, two. He beats me to it. I don't get one. I'm gonna have to wear my own patch. I'll show up. It's like, hey, look, see, I got a cosplayer. It's me.
Does it count if I cosplay myself? Does that count?
Yeah, and the main character in Cartwright's is kind of a 18-year-old fat computer geek kid that gets hold of a mecha. So I'm not saying it's based on me at all. There might be a small amount of similarity there.
That's awesome. Ralph, you have a little bit of news for us this week.
Yeah. Well, beyond working what feels like 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, I managed to get Expedition off to the editor, which is great. Got some nice comments back from beta readers, so that's coming up together. And I've had my cover art come back as well for it, and I think Tom's exceeded himself on this one is an understatement. I think it's absolutely amazing. I've been dying to show people. So we've got a bit of a exclusive, really, for Thursday Night Live.
I want to see.
So, yeah, bring up now. I just really wanted to show this so you can see how awesome, Tom, is that picture that Josh has just put up there is what I sent Tom. That was scrawled on a piece of paper in handwriting, which is pretty bloody awful. And he took that and he turned it into drum roll.
I can see what that is.
Drum
Wait
roll.
for it. Hold on a
That's
second.
Barney with a cotton candy hat.
Boom.
You say it looks
I've
like
seen
something
that
from
picture.
Star Puffin stuff. What is that?
And
Oh,
he managed to put that together from that. And
Oh my God! Wow.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it captures the kind of mood, the tone of the book.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
beautiful
impressive.
piece
Yeah,
of
I
art
like
in
that a lot.
itself, and I'm like, that's just wow. To say he's turned that awful scrawl into that really goes to show how insightful
Pretty impressive.
of a cover artist is. So I'm really proud to be able to show that off. A couple of tweaks need to go into it. But,
Important cover art is too.
Yeah.
sorry, what was that?
I said you can
Sorry,
never
Mike.
understate how important cover art is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So I absolutely love seeing that. So I can't wait for that to come out and go to general release, so to speak. But so that's been my week. Oh, I got a little bit done on Nathan's Explorations Book 3 short story as well, which is
Nice.
which is great to start getting that in, and that's probably going to fit in with the tone of the show a little bit later. So maybe talk about that a little bit later. But
Yeah.
So Josh, what have you been up to?
Well, I almost have wrapped up a short story for Steve Bolyer's short story anthology. I said it right the first time, Steve. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Superhero anthology.
Cool.
It's about 5,000 words. It's shorter, and it's not specifically about. The main character is not a superhero. The main character is a normal person that hates superheroes for reasons that you learn about throughout the story, and it's got I think a pretty cool twist in it. We'll see when he reads it, and then he's going to say this is complete crap and send it back, and then I'll have to start over again. But sent off the first chapter in my super secret project, about 3,000 words off for a read through, and got some notes back on that. So that was pretty encouraging. And other than that, man, trying to get everything going on with the show and getting everything updated. I've been banging my head against the keyboard trying to keep the website updated. I'm just horrible slow at it. So yeah, but it's been a great week. For our viewers and listeners later in the feed, we're going to talk about putting the fun back in science fiction tonight. And before we get started in talking about what that means and how Mark is doing it, Mark, would you please share a little bit about yourself, how you got into writing, and your books?
Well, how I got into writing was a 6-year-old kid in elementary school discovered a book called The Rolling Stones by Robert Heinlein. And they couldn't get me to read before that. Actually, I think I was about 8. I'm sorry. I was 8 years old. And I quickly devoured every science fiction book the library had in my little school in Washington, and then proceeded to assault my poor neighborhood library in the community. And she would order books for me, and I just started chewing everything tight. Anyway, somewhere along there, I realized, hey, I want to do this for a living. So then fast forward 30 years later, I decided I'm actually going to finally do it. I wrote my whole life, but I never really went anywhere with it. And I actually started writing, just started making a craft out of it. Self-published my first book back about 2002, I guess, or something like that, 2000, which is actually Earth Song Overture. It's still available out there, and I've rewritten it now. Coming up on the second time, I'm getting ready to rewrite it, and that ended up being the beginning of the series. And as I got into this further and further and started polishing my craft, I realized this actually had potential to take me somewhere if I worked at it hard enough. And I've continued at it through all that period, and I now have my first 2 bestsellers. and realizing that I might have finally reached the point that I can actually entertain the fans as much as I entertain myself while I'm writing this stuff. So my hope is to make my career out of this, leaving behind my day job hopefully in a year or so, and concentrating on it.
I think that is the dream of all four of us in this small chat room, and probably most of our viewers in the live chat and listeners as well.
It's not easy.
No, it is not. And so you started writing your Earth Song books, and you've published them, and you're saying that you're rewriting them. You're also writing a different kind of book with your Four Horsemen universe with Chris Kennedy. You want to share a little insight on that and how that came about?
I conceived of it about 2 years ago. I had an idea for a book about it wasn't really even military sci-fi at that point. I was kind of playing with an alien invasion sort of thing. And I said, I thought, what if the computer geeks are the secret to being able to use these ancient alien weapons or something like that? Then realized it had kind of been done. But then I started thinking about, well, what if this is just an aspect of the story? It's one of these groups, and started thinking of the idea of these mercenary companies. And it just kept on evolving. And I ended up asking Chris Kennedy to write a book with me. One book's what I'd planned on. And I met him at a convention. He said, you know what? I don't have time. I'm working on another series. I was really bummed out. So I started writing it anyway. Met him next year at the same convention. And he said, now I've got time. And I said, oh, really? Well, I've already got the book halfway written. He said, well, let me read it. So I gave it to him that night. He comes back next morning. He goes, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm like, oh, great. He thinks it sucks. He says, I love it. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what do you want to do? And we sat down. We had a few drinks and talked, and we conceived of the idea of the Four Horsemen. And in a nutshell, what this is in about 40 years from now, pick your date, Earth has first contact made by an alien government called the Galactic Union. And what they are is they're a very libertarian collection of governments that exist within their own little entities, and all they do is kind of get together and make some basic rules about how things work. They literally have no laws. The Union has no teeth at all. And no governments really have military because most aliens aren't willing to fight. There's only 38 species in the whole galaxy that are willing to fight for a living. And they form the core of the mercenary guild. So if you got a problem with somebody else, you hire these guys and they take care of it. And it makes the whole thing very complicated. But essentially what happens when we decide to join, they find out we like to fight. In the course of the short stories we introduce the universe in, and so humans signed up for the first series of contracts. We call them the Alpha contracts. They're 100 mercenary units from Earth made up of elite military units, armies, go off on these contracts, and only 4 of them ever come back. The rest are all completely wiped out. And these ones that come back all have horses in the theme. Cartwright's Cavaliers, the Golden Horde, the Asbran Solutions, and the Winged Hussars, and they say horsemen, the Four Horsemen. That's where that idea came from. And these first 4 books are about these 4 units, and each one's independent. You could pick up any one of them and read it and go, oh, there's more, and pick up the others later. You don't have to read them in order. But these all lead into the next series that will start in about 6 months or so. And the second series is called Omega Wars. So I don't want to talk any more about it, but that will be the plan for that series with the anthologies mixed in. So, that's it.
It's a very ambitious, I don't want to say starting project, but a very ambitious project for 2 writers to take on. And how did you and Chris meet up?
We met, Joy. When did I meet Chris? Which convention? Was it LibertyCon? It was LibertyCon 3 years ago, I think. He just happened to be there. No, I think it was LibertyCon. Yes, yeah. 3 years ago at LibertyCon we met. And we just kind of met in passing and did a couple panels and really hit it off. And then he happened to go to In Conjunction, which is used to be one of my regular cons because my wife's from Indianapolis. So we go there every year and do In Conjunction, a little bitty con. She'd visit her family. We'd run the dealer room. She'd sell some stuff. I'd try to sell some books. And that's where Chris and I talked about the idea and came up with it. And then we've been doing more and more stuff together, and we got to the point where we are now. So he does a lot of cons, and he's an ex-naval aviator. You've had him on the show and everything, so you know about him. He's kind of my mentor. He took me under his wing, and I promise not to say any untoward words here. So he's trying to socialize you. He's trying to socialize me, as my wife says.
A young Padawan for him, are you?
That's it. And right after I just finished my first zombie book. That's one of my own. It's A Time to Die. This is the one that was nominated for a finalist for a Dragon Award last year. My first bestseller. And I thought this did spectacularly. Then Cartwright's came out and outsold it by almost an order of magnitude. So I had no idea what success really was until I did this.
Cool.
Yeah. It's been a good ride. It's still I think this morning, number 63 on Audible when the audiobook came out. So.
Oh, I love audiobook. I'll have to check that out.
Oh, there's nothing but money above it. Craig Good.
I love the way that you sound like you guys have put together such a well-realized universe and sort of.
I started out as a role-playing GM, so world building's always been my thing. In fact, my saying is "Worlds under construction." It's my worldmaker.us is my website, and that's what I do. I'm good at world building, so I'm the chronicler. I'm the continuity master of this universe. As people are asking about writing short stories for the anthology, Chris lobs them at me basically, and I answer any questions they come up with. One of our writers just the other day finished their story and gave it to me, and all within there, they're mentioning things about crimes against the Union, the Galactic Union jails. And I go, whoa, hold on here. We got to go back and talk to them about this. Isn't going to work. This is how it's going to do it. I'm the one who conceives of all this. So world making is my thing. I come by it naturally, and I think it's because I was a gamer for 20-something years. It gets your brain working that way.
Yeah, I certainly think a lot of people kind of. Oh, sorry, Scott.
No, go ahead, Ralph. You got it.
No.
You got an actual question.
No, it's gone now. It's gone now.
It's gone. Boom. You're welcome.
4 o'clock in the morning for me. If I have a spout or a fall asleep.
I was going to ask if you've done it, if you're still doing gaming, because you said you were, but I'm assuming maybe you still do. Still something you like?
I want to. I tried. I joined an old-fashioned traveler game that a friend of mine, Ed Dillon, was running at a local place. Attended a couple of sessions, but this is getting so big and so busy, I just can't afford the time. It sucks. I want to go, and Tuesdays come around once a month, and I'm thinking I want to go to the game. Then I realize I've got X number of words to write. I finished the first draft of Winged Hussars, and now it needs to be heavily edited. And I just can't do it. I'm finding less and less time to do that sort of stuff. But I like writing so much; it still gives me that outlet. I'm still a GM. The difference is now I get to make 100,000 players miserable instead of 4. So
I'm looking at some of your covers and having read a bit of into the world as well. It strikes me that it would probably lend itself to a kind of role playing or tabletop battle game.
We've done some preliminary work on it. I have a friend who's in this anthology coming up who's doing the preliminary design work. He's a longtime player and GM himself that I've played with, and he's helped did some work for designs for games and stuff. So he's laid out the details, and we've talked about it. Now we're just going to wait and see if the series is popular enough for us to drop the $10,000 or $12,000 it'll cost to produce the book. Because role-playing books generally don't make money. But what it is, it's a wonderful marketing tool as a writer. If you get to that point, you're popular enough, you're putting out an RPG, your players buy it just to have, your readers buy the book just to have it. And role players buy it and realize, oh crap, there's a whole series of books behind these things. And, that way it pays off. But it never pays off directly unless you're like, TSR or Wizards of the Coast or whoever these guys are.
It's I'm interested in the way that you present the Four Horsemen universe and the 4 books that you're writing. The way that you swap off the novels, are they strictly independent plots per book? Do they layer into each other? You mentioned that you can read them out of order, and that they all blend into this Omega War series that you have planned. So when you guys write the books, are you writing them independently, or do you kind of co-write them, or how does that work?
I wrote Cartwright completely by myself. It was the lead out, and it kind of set the framework for what we wanted to do. And Chris had some ideas for how we were going to blend this to the end. And so I wrote the first, he writes the last. And I'm reading some of the stuff he's doing. I'm like, God, Chris, you're going kind of fast here, but I'm like shutting my mouth. I'm saying, okay, let's go with this and see what happens. So we didn't really consult too much with each other other than cross-pollinating. So we took a page out of Marvel's cover, and each of these books tend to mention things that happen in other books, including characters. There's a character in Golden Horde, who's a sergeant, who actually then ends up showing up in my book in the Winged Hussars. He shows up as a sergeant in Winged Hussars. He gets fired from the Golden Horde, ends up in the Winged Hussars. So, Joy, can you bring my power? I'm up die over here. So we cross-populated that as much as we could because we thought that would be useful. So it'll give people an idea of what else they can read, and at the same time gives them a coherent universe. You know what I mean?
Right.
My battery's about to die. Give me a second here. I'm hoping.
Oh, that's all right.
I didn't wait this long. The plug's over here.
Batteries are not what they used to be.
Yeah, well, and this is a used laptop I bought because I'm becoming a bit of a.
It's a cheap travel laptop.
Yeah, it's kind of cheap. I'm becoming a bit of a fascist with keyboards. I have to admit, I'm picky about what I use. I bought a friend of mine got me a mechanical keyboard. One of my fans bought it for me. I commented I would kind of like a mechanical keyboard, and what does he do? One of my friggin' fans just out and bought me one. I'm like, well, thanks. And then I realized, because I'm so old, I grew up with learning to type on an IBM Selectric. And surprise, surprise, IBM Selectrics are basically mechanical keyboards, right? They're ancient. And come on, you piece of crap.
That sounds like we were before the show started. It's like this laptop thing. Who invented a laptop? What kind of an idea was that? Oh wait, they are kind of handy.
Well, it's like a 200-year-old hotel too, so the plugs are all worn out. So anyway, if you ever used a mechanical keyboard, they're very physical. It's not like these snap keys on a lot of keyboards you see now. You have to kind of dig into them a little bit. And I was spoiled. That's what I wanted. I wanted to go back to that. So we bought me this mechanical keyboard. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. My writing speed went up. My productivity went up. So needless to say, the laptop that wasn't any good anymore. So I got this old ThinkPad, this Lenovo ThinkPad. It's got a style of a mechanical keyboard. And, well, that works for me while I'm traveling.
That's awesome.
It goes to show it's what works for you, isn't it? It's
yeah.
You got to sort of optimize your life. Some people like to use speech to text or whatever. Other people mechanical keyboards, it seems. And I'm sure my first computer, Spectrum ZX, with the rubber keys, it might appeal to someone. So.
I'm still here.
yeah, you sorted, yes. So, I was just like looking at your original series, Earth Song series. They seem to have a very kind of musical thrust to them. Is that
completely by accident?
To the title. Are you a musician at heart?
No. When I wrote the first one, I called it Overture because it was the beginning of the series. And after I wrote it, originally the title was Avatar's Overture, and then that hack, what's his name, came out with the movie, and they kind of screwed it up. People were like, "Oh, you're copying that, huh?" I'm like, "No, that asshole copied me." But it's just my fault that he made like $300 million off of it. But I think I made 10 off mine.
You need to $10 million?
No, $10.
Oh, see, I was
solicitor on that, don't you? You need to get your lawyer working that one out, don't you?
So when I wrote the second book, I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to call this? Because I'd retitle it just Overture, and I realized, oh, well, I could call the second one Sonata. And the planet that involves where the humans end up after Earth is destroyed is called Gamma Orionis. And I realized, oh, Sonata and Orionis, cool. And then the third one came out. I went, well, let's keep on going with this aria, and I just continued with the musical ideas. The sixth book is going to be called Nocturne's Reckoning. And the seventh book is called Oblivion's Waltz.
Yeah, I like that. Something quite epic about the use of those kind of musical terms. It's quite gentle but intense as well.
Yes. And I created a fan base out of them. I never made a lot of money, but when I started these books with this with the Four Horsemen series for this the Revelation cycle, I walked into them with a few hundred dedicated fans who loved my stuff. And that, when this book launched, Chris taught me a lot of things about how to get a book ready to launch, how to let your fans know it, build it up to it, and throw it out. So when it hit, all of my existing fans bought the thing, and that gave it that little jump start. You've all written this, you know what I mean. You get a good jump start, it really helps your sales initially and can push things along. If you throw it out there and nobody knows about it, it just kind of and then disappears.
Right.
I think, it's it's really important to sort of have that kind of ramp up. Let's start it for you. Let's start it. I reckon, just keeping to the tone of the show, and we've been speaking about the Four Horsemen. So let's remind ourselves of what the patches are, and then let's see which one of our chat audience will allocate to which unit. Now,
chat room vote for best patch.
No. We're gonna conscript some of these guys into the mercenary group. Now, JR, I apologise. I know you've got a little bit of an airborne pass to you, so I'm picking you for the Winged Hussars. But who wants to be a Golden Horde member?
The vote for because my crappy laptop won't let me look at both at the same time. It keeps trying to string out on me when I do that. So you guys let me know what to say. Here's the first one. This is Cartwright's Cavaliers. And that's my favorite unit because I'm a big Cartwright's fan. As you can see the logo across there, each one has their saying on it. This one is, lead the charge. That's Cartwright's thing.
I reckon, that strikes me. Cavaliers strikes me as it's going to be kind of a tankish kind of unit. I know the Mech Warriors, but kind of things, but sort of more a tank kind of thing. So I reckon the guy I'd have driving a tank would be called Chuck. What about you, fellas?
I don't know. I've been thinking Rudy, and I don't know why.
Rudy.
That's what popped up.
I think I'd be the
designer wants to say hi, by the way. This is my wife. This is Joy.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, Joy.
She's
nice
the one who
I
kind of helped her design, but she did 99% of the unit. She's got the embroidery program and all that, and put it all together and made it actually look good. And she put a lot of work into these things.
Show them Asbran.
Okay. Number 2 is Asbran. I'll cover my head, not hers. So you can see her over there. This is
choice.
Asbran aliens. And as you can see, the saying, aliens get paid.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice.
Book number 3 coming up. Winged Hussars. That's mine. This is actually really my favorite patch. Actually, I love the way it turned out.
Patch a lot.
That's pretty
military
cool.
feel to it. And their saying is plan, prepare, strike. That's their plan. And if you've noticed, all of them have 4 stars on them for the 4 horsemen.
Oh yeah, very nice.
And last but not least, the most intricate of them all is the Golden Hordes patch. And their saying is, we hold what you got. Which is a nice double entendre, actually. Yeah. The origin of the Golden Horde is the most interesting of the 4 horsemen because they weren't really a military unit. They were a bunch of Mongolian gangbangers that put together a unit from an off-world and came back alive, actually. So,
basically, space Dothraki, are they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, there you go.
Minus the horses. Oh yeah, I got to give these to my wife. She's got to get him ready for the con tomorrow. So what was the vote? What did people like?
We got 1 vote for the Hussars.
I'm gonna post a poll on our group. I'm doing it right now.
Oh, thanks, JR. Yes, she is prettier than me.
Go on then, Lauren. What would you be? Who would you join up with? So Colleen is going for the Golden Horde.
Golden Horde?
Golden Horde. And Colleen, it's almost Khaleesi, so I reckon that's...
Yeah, I know.
I'll go with that.
That makes sense. See, now it's all coming together.
Yeah,
so it's the Winged Hussars, Asbran Solutions, the Golden Horde, and what's the other one I'm missing?
Cartwright's Cavaliers.
Cartwrights.
Nobody likes Cartwrights? I ain't getting no love.
I actually like Cartwrights. I was just trying to think. I'm trying not to make too many. Who did the Griffin or the Griffin one? Which one's the Griffin one?
The Griffin Door?
You mean it's actually it's a Huma bird.
There, the poll is up in the group right now. Should be go ahead and make your vote if you would like.
Oh, in the YouTube group.
I'll no in the Facebook group here.
That's what I meant. I'm so.
Put the link in the live chat.
I said YouTube, but I totally meant Facebook because that would make sense.
So I'm curious, Mark. You pitched the idea for the show about putting the fun back in science fiction.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit.
Taken out? Or should we just stick to fun?
Social justice warriors. That's how it got taken out.
So what do you mean by putting the fun back into science fiction? Talk about that a little bit.
Message fic has killed science fiction, if you ask me. Everybody's trying to make a statement to tell you about how bad we are, what's wrong with us, how do we fix humanity, this sort of thing. We just want to write a good story. Most of them tend to be human-centric to some degree or another because, well, we're humans. It's kind of harder to get into a story about a bug-eyed monster. It's hard to relate. It's like, well, how many larvae does that guy have? It's not like me,
Yeah, he's got a lot of larvae at home he's got to support.
Yeah, so we wanted to create an environment where you could read a book and go, yeah, at the end, and the good guys don't always survive, because that's the way this kind of stuff tends to work. But especially if you're reading one of Chris's books, I didn't say that. Hey, the man loves a good body count. That's all I got to say. So what's what we set out to do. We wanted to think, you go back and read this stuff in the 1960s, and you read Purnell and Niven, and you got a really great friggin' story, and you can relate to the people, and you can relate to what happens. They put them in situations you can understand, and they're not trying to necessarily preach you. You kind of hard to keep your politics and your own natural feelings out of things, but it gets tired getting face slapped.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a friggin' story, and if there's a little bit of your stuff in it, that's okay. I don't care. But if that's all it is, you don't want to read it. And you look at the Hugos and these other awards, and that's all you see. I'm like, are people really buying these books? There's a good reason I think that indie and self-pub is eating Big Press's lunch. This is one of the biggest reasons. Is we're turning out stuff people want to read, and we're turning out
especially more. in our genre, especially in sci-fi.
Exactly. Sci-fi, space opera, and we own it.
I was trying to think of a traditionally published sci-fi, and I mean, unless it's like a novelization of a Star Wars movie or something, it's really, or maybe a freak anomaly like some that were indie that went trad, like Andy Weir or something. But in general, with those excluding those exceptions, there's not all this good sci-fi writers are indie right now. I mean, unless they
nothing really tends to stick out.
Yeah, I'd have to
I was thinking about the last traditional science fiction I bought, and it's probably some time ago now. I think I can't recall in recent times actually picking
I'm thinking like David Weber or maybe Leviathan Wakes with.
Actually, I'll go with that. But even then, I've turned into one of those people who. I'll wait for the TV show to come out. The kind of person I used to frown upon a while.
And all the books in the bookshelf all say Bane, I mean, they're the ones who actually publishes anything that are main scale worth reading. These others, it's not like they've jumped the shark.
I think it's Scott hit it on the head, and then Chuck even said it in the chat. It's okay to write for escapism, and indies seem to get that.
Yes, exactly.
And they write enjoyable stories. And what's funny is when you talk about buying traditional, the only traditional authors that I have bought recently is fantasy, and I think they still are putting out really good fantasy books traditionally, but there's something wrong. I don't know if it's something wrong or just something that I'm not getting with.
I think it's the
it's just that there's a lot of indie stuff that I like.
It's harder to virtue signal when you're writing fantasy. That's part of the reason.
Say that again.
It's harder to virtue signal when you're writing fantasy. So fantasies remained relatively unpolluted. Bullshit.
Yeah, that's true.
Harder.
I think
not impossible.
I think.
My wife's
I think
bullshit.
Yeah. No, I think I can see the same thing happening in fantasy, depending. And I'd have to think of an example, but I'm 3 beers in, which for me is like a lot of beers, so I'm a little bit slow on that.
Watch, Scott's gonna fall out of his chair here in about 3.5
Yeah,
seconds.
watch it because I crash. But it's the, what do they call it, the genre ghetto thing. I heard at a conference a while back where I think people have a self-esteem problems. Like, I write sci-fi, but I want to be taken seriously, so I'm going to write literary science fiction and deliver my message. And then everybody got on board with that, and everybody's trying so hard to prove their worth when they shouldn't be. You shouldn't really worry about what other people think about you. You should just do what you're doing. Be yourself. Write your story. Be authentic. Make it work. Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes there are good stories out there which do explore the human condition. I'd say. I mean, again, it tends to be the older one, the golden age people who spring to mind. People like Arthur C. Clarke. Who sort of really gets to the nub of what would things like first contact with aliens mean to people, to society, to religions, things like that, which are all kind of interesting questions that might well pave the way for should that ever happen. But yeah, sometimes there's some strange and new ones where it seems like traditional feels that some of those questions have been exhausted now, even though they haven't. And let's start going down some sort of very, very sort of niche-y type things, not niche. Niche type. Niche, yeah. That's,
what are some
ultimately it comes down to people have to write what they want to write. So if people want to go for that, then I'm sure there's an audience for it. But we like fun.
Mark, what are some of your favorite authors right now in the genre? Did any come to mind?
I've been a huge Ringo fan forever. I wish he'd actually finish a few series in a while. That'd be a challenge, but he really his Troy series really got me influenced into writing these books here, the Four Horsemen universe. I go back to, I said, a lot of Heinlein, Bear, Bova, Alan Dean Foster is one of my biggest influences. Actually, he's brilliant. His whole He-Man universe, Flinks and Pip and Flanks, the way they developed it, you can feel that when you read these universes, the same sort of mixture he's created of the races and the way they interact. I want to
I think you're fading out a little bit on us.
We're fighting a little bit of a connection. We had a really good question from the chat room. Do we want to do that now, or do we want to go back to what we were talking about?
Let's just see if he fixed his volume. Are you there, Mark?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, continue on. I don't know what happened.
That's okay. I was just mentioning that it's the question of who I'm reading. I said Bear, Bova, Heinlein, obviously Ringo. There's not a lot of great science fiction right now that I read that's outside it. I spend so much time writing now. I don't spend as much time reading as I used to. I just re-listened to Footfall, actually, by Parnell Niven, which is an absolutely fantastic piece of science fiction.
Oh, I love that book. Love that book.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Scott, go ahead and hit the question.
The question from Lauren Moore it's a question for all the sci-fi authors. It says, are there certain scenes, beats, characters, or tropes that are needed for a sci-fi book to be fun and successful? And we can unpack that question a little bit, but there's a couple parts there, but to be fun and successful. So what's it take? What are some things that you kind of look for?
I think like taking the sort of set of examples she used and reversing it and talking about tropes. Now, sometimes tropes make people frown a little bit, and they use it as sort of almost a negative comment. They just follow the trope of, I don't know, the aging old battle cruiser or whatever it might be. But in my mind, a reader, when they are looking for new books to purchase, will kind of hang on to a trope that they like, whatever it may be, whether it be military science fiction with the standard alien invasion thing. So that's kind of the trope that they're starting on, and they know that they're going to like that book, and then then it will sort of descend down into the specifics of the book. So sometimes I think it's important that there is. We don't go too extreme with trying to find completely new and different scenarios, because readers might not want to be that adventurous. They just want to know whether they're going to get a good old-fashioned pew 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 military science fiction, or a good first contact kind of story, or a good exploration story, and then they'll pare it down from there. So you need a trope to hang on to. There are some tropes which seem to be done a hell of a lot at the moment, but it does help readers find authors. What about your guys' opinions on that?
Mark, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things they want to see, I think all fans want to see, is they want to see a defined plot. Fans hate books where they don't know where it's going and where it ended up. They get into the book, they go, "What the hell did I just read?" You got to catch them at the beginning and catch them with something they like. So a lot of the things, especially what I call genre creep, write what you're actually saying you're writing. You know, you get a book like this, you know, Car Race Cavaliers. You pick up this book, they're better Dan Dolby Mecha and things exploding. And people are just terrible with covers and what they're trying to present sometimes. Chris and I have been complaining a lot about if you go to the top 100 of military science fiction and you've got dudes with wearing like no shirts and stuff on it, you've got this influence of this influx of the romance, kind of sci-fi romance stuff. Is like, give these people their own category and get them the hell out of here. So you want to give them what they're looking for. And I mean, you know, yeah, I guess that's all I can think of right now. My thoughts. I haven't even been drinking. I'm having trouble concentrating on this. That's a really interesting question, though.
Chuck said in the chat, most readers want the same thing with a twist over and over again. I kind of agree with Chuck, but I also agree that I don't want to read the same story with the same characters over and over again. I like new characters and new ideas with some of the same threads that hold it together.
I think you draw on your past experience to categorize what you're looking for. So you might say, man, I wish I could watch Star Wars for the first time and have that awesome experience. But then you see a movie because that's what you kind of go and you think maybe it has some similarities. Then you go and you see, like, for me, it'd be like one of the new Star Trek ones I really like. I'm like, well, see, that was totally different, but I liked it. So now I can say, I wish I could see one. I could see one like The Expanse, but then it wouldn't be exactly like The Expanse. But you know, that's my framework, because my framework is all based on my knowledge and experience as a consumer. You know, right. I never go. You know what? I hope this is just radically different from everything. People, I just think that. You can use the tropes aren't necessarily a bad word. You got to do them in a new and unique way, or put a clever twist on them, or do them like in exquisite detail, or something, and just not take the first thought that pops in your head on the dialogue. You know, go a little deeper. And I think tropes are fine, in my opinion.
I mean, Scott's exactly right. It's like we're not going to rewrite the Kama Sutra here. This stuff's all been done. You know, really. I mean, you even did.
When's the last time there's only seven stories in the world, aren't there? I was reading the other day, and
but if we did rewrite the sci-fi, if we did rewrite the sci-fi Kama Sutra, it would probably be number one on the bestseller.
Swoon strikes.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be up there. We go a long ways with that.
I did a panel at MarsCon last year that talked about that, about genre blending and what works and what doesn't. And I haven't done it, but I wanted to sit the panel anyway because, you know, I've got a pretty strong opinion of what works and what doesn't. And some of the ideas were like, you sick son of a bitch. And the other ones were like, well, that's unique, you know, so. But that's what everyone's trying to invent the new mousetrap. And in our point of view, like I said, you can't rewrite the Kama Sutra. I can't think of the last time I read a really original science fiction. Closest I can get to is probably Ready Player One, which is a heavy fiction, actually. But you know what? It was so good, I didn't really care. I read over that stuff that was annoying me and just read the damn book. Even with Will Wheaton reading it, I managed to get through it. You know, it's just a damn good book. So there again, there's that story, make science fiction fun. If he'd left some of the click points out of this, you know, to make all the people like him for writing the right things, it would have been out of the park for me. As it was still great. And I can't wait to see the movie. I'm really fascinated to see how they're going to do that. It's as bad as trying to do Cloud Atlas. I can't imagine how they're going to do this.
We had some great comments in the chat reference to this. Kayleen Williams, she says, and I'm assuming that's what she looks for, is in your sci-fi is comfort zones can be pushed a little bit. Makes it entertaining. That makes sense. We got some spin-offs of the Kama Sutra comments. Stephen Manley says we can do the zero-G joy of sex. Now, you know, you could, because some people want their fiction to be informational, so that could be.
I'm curious useful. with your particular brand, especially in this Four Horsemen series where you're dealing with mechs. What do you look at when you go into this kind of genre, because mechs is I mean, you can have sci-fi and military sci-fi, but when you have mechs, it's almost its own genre. So what do you think of are the necessary things to have in that specific type of genre?
This is very much a balancing game you play, and it's a lot like designing a tabletop game or something. When you put this kind of world together, you got to put these balances in place. Otherwise, people who read it and really enjoy crunchy science fiction, my friend calls it, which is really hard sci-fi, they'll look at it and go, "Well, there's no way in hell that would work." And one of the things I did, I wanted I wanted our brand to be unique. So what I did, there's no contragrav. It's old-fashioned thrust-only gravity, and when you do that, it really changes the rules for what you're used to seeing in science fiction. Because I think people have gotten really lazy in writing a lot of science fiction. You throw a contragrav in, and the ship pulls a 4,000 degree G turn, and everybody's like leans to the side a little bit, And now when you're limited to 8 to 12 Gs, space combat really gets ugly really fast. And with the mecha, like you said, there's certain things you want to see. What do they want to see? They want to see guys in suits. They want to see them getting face-to-face with the fights. They want to see them dealing with their suits. Very commonly, if you're not talking about how they're interacting with their combat suits, you're not getting a key element of that. Because all these guys in these suits are like ancient knights in armor. It's what it comes down to. It's super advanced knights in armor, except mine ones are 10 foot tall and weigh 1,200 pounds and have rocket launchers on the shoulders. But even that, it's like ammo limitations. You try to balance this so it makes sense. And Chris and I spent hours talking about what can these do, how far can they go, how are they powered. In my series, they're up to these are the Mark 8s in the newest series in the Winged Hussars, and this goes back to Mark 1s. The first contact was 100 years ago. And one of the reasons we got our asses kicked is most of the aliens are bigger and badder than us. So they invented these Caspers so we could fight them on an even keel. So the first Mark I was kind of like Iron Man's suit, I guess. Remember from the movie, this first crappy suit he clunked around in? And now they're getting more and more advanced. So they're able to fight better. But even then, one of the problems with this is humans have these suits. Sure, that's great. But they're also, a couple $1 million each. So yeah. There's your balancing. They're not super strong, they're not super fast, they can get killed, and they're expensive as hell. So you can't just throw them at the enemy. So balancing act,
Now they're mercenaries, so it's not typically military. Do they have
Correct.
A rank structure, or is that something that they need in your
There's
setting?
nothing universal in the universe. The Earth mercenaries tend to stick to published ranks. In this universe, when you serve in a mercenary unit, you're established a rank you're serving at, for Earth units anyway, human units. And then when you move on, the Mercenary Guild maintains your information. You can hire on another unit as a different rank. So it's like I was a sergeant with the Cartwright's Cavaliers, and I left Cartwright's and I went over to Burt's Bees, and they hired me as a lieutenant because they needed somebody to fill out a platoon leader. But it all depends on what you could do. So yeah, there's ranks, but they're pretty fluid. In Winged Hussars, they're a space-based unit, but they don't use ranks very much. So most of the crew almost feels like enlisted, and they're not running around saluting each other. They're very informal because Winged Hussars is one of the few Earth units that's almost equally integrated with aliens. It goes back to their origin. It'll be talked about in the book, but so that gets even more complicated. How do you salute a slug that's squirting by? It's it's like.
Right.
It feels almost like a Games Workshop, Warhammer sort of some similarities there with kind of what are they called? Chapters, wasn't it? Space Marine
It
chapters.
feels very 40K.
Yeah, they have chapters like Rob said.
Well, we're coming to the end of the hour, super close to anyway.
That went fast.
I know, like really
ridiculously fast. Would you be willing to share what you have coming up this year, project-wise?
For myself?
Sure.
Oh, dear God. Okay, well, Winged Hussars, it should have been out by now. I'm sorry, Chris. Should have also been 100,000 words, and it's 132,000 words, but that's another story entirely. After that will be the anthology, which I have a story in also, and I'm one of the editors. After that, Chris has got Golden Horde, and then we're going to I have plans for the first standalone novel in the universe, which will be called Dirty Deeds. which is not even involved mercenaries. These are actually civilians, humans from Earth. Within there also is the first full rewrite of Earth Song Overture to relaunch the series. New covers, new editing, the first book completely rewritten. I'm finishing my sequel to A Time to Die, the zombie book that I threw around here somewhere. You guys saw it earlier. It's all the way over there. Anyway, that's called A Time to Run. That's a trilogy, actually, that's called the Turning Point series. And then after that will be probably the first of the Omega Wars book. Should be probably out late this year. I'm thinking probably October, maybe November.
Very cool.
About 5 books a year.
And where can people go to find out more about you, and where can they get your books at?
You can check out my stories and my plans, including progress bars, on www.worldmaker.us. There's also the mailing list there you can sign up for, and I send email blasts regularly with that, including, and you sign up for that, you also get a free copy of the first short story, which is Gateway to Union, which covers First Contact. And if you go to Chris Kennedy Publishing, you can get a copy of the second short story, which is called The Shattered Crucible, which covers one of the units during the Alpha contracts that went off to fight for Earth, not one of the 4 horsemen. That tracks all the information for all my stories and everything, and I have my Amazon page. You type in Mark Wandrey, Wandrey, and my author name clicks up. You click on my author, like a lot of us on Amazon, you have an author page, and that lists all my works currently available.
Awesome. Scott, Ralph, any final thoughts, my friends?
I just can't believe it's been an hour. I think that's part of an elaborate plot to keep us down from exploring our.
Someone set the clock a little bit fast, haven't they?
You're not allowing us to realize our full sci-fi. And Vicky just got here.
Vicky just got here. Welcome, Vicky.
We should go for an extra hour to.
We should have probably waited for her next time, because we should have waited for Vicky before we even started. I don't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And she did a really cool Facebook Live video promoting the show tonight. Thank you, Vicky. That was nice.
It's because Vicky rules.
Right.
A lot of people in our chat. I was
everybody.
bragging about our at the Smarter. I was bragging about our chat group.
Were you
several people? I was like, "Yeah, you need to come on our show sometime." And I'm like, "You got to come. It's really fun. We have this awesome group of people, and they all come in the live chat, and it's really cool." And they were like, "Oh yeah, we like that." So.
Well, considering the live chat started 45 minutes before the show even started, next time we'll just have the live chat going. We won't even have a show.
Yeah, we'll just grab some beers and watch the live chat.
The live chat edition.
That's right. Well, everybody that came and hung out with us.
Presence there.
What's that, Mark?
My fans can also follow me on Facebook. I have quite a presence there. I've got my own account, Mark H. Wandrey, or if they just want to follow the writing and stuff, I have search for the worlds of Mark Wandrey. I have my professional page there that lists, upcomings and things like that.
Very
a lot of art teasers,
cool.
Very cool.
Very good. That'd be awesome.
All those links will be in the show notes and in the video description by tomorrow, hopefully. Cross your fingers.
Josh, this was fun.
Thank you so much for coming on, Mark. It's been a blast.
I've just started something, Josh. If anyone wants to perhaps get their work edited, where would they go?
Yes. Our awesome partnership with BZ Hercules and the sponsor of the show. You can get a 15% discount off editing, proofing, and her phenomenal triangulation services at her website, which we now have a really cool smart link to, www.keystrokemedium.com/bzhercules. Follow that link. It will do a automatic redirect to her website where you can put in your information and get that 15% discount on those services. The triangulation service, for those that don't know, is basically editing, proofing, and beta reading, all kind of put together in one specific price or one special price. So if you're in the market for that, or you're looking for someone new to work with, check out Beth. She does phenomenal work. And also, I'll mention that we are now have opened up our show for sponsorship for the opportunity for sponsorship, rather. So if you have a product or a book, or you would like to just sponsor an episode for no apparent reason whatsoever, you
Random
can do
sponsoring
so.
random sponsoring is a virtue.
That is true.
It is true. You do get points for that.
You can go to our website, keystrokemedium.com, click on the sponsorship link, and follow the instructions there. It's super easy. Shoot us an email, say you want to sponsor an episode, and we'll get the pricing and the packages information to you. It's a super cool deal. You get your book or product put on our front page of our website, and then we'll talk about it during the show, and it'll go on YouTube and be in the video description for all to see and hear. It's a pretty good deal, I think. So, Mark, again, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us on our show.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
Good to meet you, Martin.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
Wait a minute, JR saying he wants he needs a keystroke helmet. Yeah. We'll get a full, like a regular helmet made. That would be cool.
What about a keystroke medium mecha? Can we have like one of the fifth, like a Fifth Horseman chapter company?
Oh, yeah.
KSM.
Yeah.
Go on. Give us
We're gonna get a keystroke medium unit patch.
Yes.
Easter egg.
That must happen.
Let's have keystroke medium be like a red shirt unit in one of the things.
Yeah, and you can like wipe us out like in the first episode. The keystrokes went in there and boom, got annihilated.
Right in the prologue.
Oh, that's Chris. He can kill you dead in one chapter.
Yeah. The keystroke red shirts. That's the name of our unit.
Right.
The keystroke medium.
I don't think we've ever redshirted an entire merc company. That would be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, do that. That would be fun. Well, everybody that hung out with us in the chat, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. If you're listening on the feed, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your support. If you have not subscribed, please do so. If you have a few minutes, head over to iTunes or to Podbean and leave us a review and a rating. It helps our visibility and gets us to more audience members. Let us know what you think about putting the fun back in sci-fi, what you thought about the show. Leave in the comments below when it goes live. We love to talk to everybody in the comments, and we're very responsive. So for Ralph Kern, Scott Moon, I am Josh Hayes. We have been live with Mark Wandrey on Thursday night. Be sure you come back next time and join us while we talk about reading, writing, and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. You guys have a good night.